That's right. Here we are, ready to get things underway on this Tuesday. Little Detroit Sports Talk. I'm Dennis Fith. Raj is with us here, ready to go as we got so much to talk about. That's right. Hit the sounder, hit the alarm. Let's get it going. Raj, there it is. At Sideshow Raj on Twitter. How are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
Man, it's going pretty good as we've got tons to talk about. We've got 5 chapters to get to in the world of sports, but we were sitting here chatting away even before we hit the button to go live. I know you're a big MMA guy because you always bring it up wherever we're at, whether it's on the chat, whether you're on the show. So I was wondering, the only thing, and what are you going to complain? There's too much to watch. Michigan is playing into Saturday night, and so was Bama and Texas A&M. So I did not watch the trilogy of Fury and Wilder. I did see Fight 2, and I loved it. I was surprised that Fury actually won. I didn't think so. I mean, you just look at him, you just look at the two guys, you're like, man, Deontay Wilder, he looks like he could be like in one of the Rocky movies. Like he's right out of that, chiseled, like, and Fury's not so much, but looks that way. But it ended up being a great fight.
Yeah, it was definitely a great fight. Great trilogy. I mean, Fury was the better guy. He won. I'm surprised Wilder went 11 rounds because he was taking a beating in there. He's taking some nice shots. He got knocked down, I think it was 2 times. I think the third time was the final one. Knocked Fury down as well. It was a bloodbath in there. They definitely left it all out in the ring. Absolutely. It was a great fight. And, like I said, hats off to Wilder for even going all 11 rounds. But, Fury's the better man. This was the 3rd time we seen this fight. And, I want to see somebody that Anthony Joshua just lost. Deontay Wilder just lost, so potentially we might get that fight, and that still would be a big fight with both those guys coming off losses.
Well, it shows you like you're a little bit young, but back in the day, man, when it's about the heavyweights, it's really there's nothing like 2 heavyweights slugging it out.
Boxing is better when you got heavyweights at the top going at it like that.
No doubt about it. I mean, like you can like speed and you can like everything else, but a big guy landing a punch, man. I've heard that I've been to a few fights, so I know there's a difference. Like watching it on TV, the 2 summers ago, I was down in Detroit at the Velodrome. They had some boxing there, and I had never witnessed a knockout. I was about 10 feet away, just like walking up to the bar, and this guy landed a punch. And man, it sounds like a baseball bat, it's an unmistakable. You're like, whoa! Once you hear that, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, Fury. I can't think of his trainer's name, but he was training with one of the trainers from
Kronk, yeah, that's right. So there's the connect to Detroit. Paul W. already there on the chat saying what's up. I know he's a big college hockey guy, and tonight, the NHL starting out. I'm looking forward to watching some late night hockey and some playoff baseball. It's great. And the Wings will be on Thursday. That'll be a big a Red Wing show for us. And I know Paul likes that college hockey. And there's Maria already saying that I missed out at the birthday party. You're right. Happy birthday to the Rinos. What was that, Raj?
Who did the Wings got in the opener?
The Wings are taking on the 2-time defending champ Lightning coming up on Thursday, who are just getting ready to drop the puck down in Florida and raise their banner up. As here I was watching ESPN. I thought, and there they were, ESPN hockey, the NHL back on ESPN, which is pretty cool. So, but with all that baseball and hockey to watch tonight, we'll get to the Wings on Thursday. We've had a lot of football to get to as well, and that's what we'll talk about in these 5 chapters. Pete Finelli is here. He is out at Penn State. He's our intern. He is a sophomore up at State College or over at State College. And, of course, that big exciting game that did take place on Saturday. We'll definitely get his thoughts on that. Plus, he's a big NFL guy. There are some of the chapters that were – that's a shot at Pete. What we are going to be talking about coming up, we're going to get to the Lions. We'll get to some of the other things in the NFL. There you go. How many NFL teams are better than the Chiefs? We got Michigan and MSU. Both teams winning. Both teams meeting up we'll meet up coming up on Halloween weekend. And then we will get to Jon Gruden, as you see there in the 5th chapter. But let's start things out. How about with chapter 1? How does that sound, Raj? That's the way to do it, right? And that gets us to the Detroit Lions, who remain winless. They fall to 0-5. The big news coming out of the game, it's another one of those heartbreaking losses here for the Lions, as they had another long field goal, 50-yard plus field goal. This one wasn't, 70 yards or whatever that one was by Tucker. But, here they were driving down. They get the 2-point conversion, which is controversial just when it comes down to it, whether you kick the extra point or not. But they get it, and they're on the verge of getting their first W. If they don't, after the game, an emotional Lions head coach Dan Campbell tearing up, which we got to get your thoughts on. And then today, the bad news, I guess you can say, continues. Yeah, there he is, choking up. Coach Campbell, the news, he was probably choking up again today. I mean, if you're a Lions fan, a little tearful goodbye to Frank Ragnow, maybe their best player, their former first-round pick, the center for the Lions. He was put on IR, but they announced today that he is done for the year. So, Raj, lots to talk about here with the Lions. Where do you want to start?
Yeah. I think he did get real emotional at the end of that game. It's tough. He's been a Lion before, so I'm not gonna say he's fully getting lionized, but it's tough. They put it all. These guys train hard. They don't have a good roster, but these guys train hard. He put they leave it all out there on the field, and you want to win. That was a heartbreaking loss. Back-to-back heartbreaking losses. A record-setting field goal, and then you lose like this. You go for 2, which I think was the right call. You have nothing to lose for. Go for the win. But even when they got that 2-point conversion, I said this game isn't over. The fat lady hasn't sung just yet. And I think Campbell was really emotional now. I think next season moving forward, he won't be all emotional like that. He'll be more more straightforward with everything. And as far as the Ragnar injury, man, yeah, that really sucks because going into the season, you thought this isn't a good roster, but one of the strong points was going to be the offensive line with Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Noah Jackson, and Penei Sewell, the rookie, and now it's one of the weak points. None of those guys are playing. I know Sewell was questionable for that game, so you went into the season with this being one of the strong points. Now you look at it, it's one of the weak points. Just decimated with injuries right now. No Okudah, no Cephas. The roster's getting a lot weaker, and the schedule's only going to get tougher from here on out.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the coach tearing up either and showing his emotions in the postgame. However, it is something like he's only 5 games into his first year here. That's not something that he's going to be able to do after every game. And, I think that the Lions, they've got probably their best shot to win a game coming up this Sunday when they take on the Bengals. If it isn't this Sunday when they host the Bengals, it'll be in 2 weeks when they host the Eagles. So the next 2 out of 3 games are pretty winnable for them, so they can get the monkey off their back. But let's say they drop 3 games in a row. It's not a card you play, but you can only have that kind of outburst, once. He can't be, if they lost a nail biter this Sunday, to the Bengals, he can't be all boo-hoo and everything else in the post game again. Or actually going to be, what's this, waterworks every time, after a tough loss. I mean, the Lions are going to have a lot of tough losses. So, one time, I don't really have any criticisms of him. I know people don't like that. I haven't seen over the years, I thought about how many coaches that I've seen actually, show that kind of emotion. And Jim Leland has, Justin Verlander, after his first no-hitter, I remember, sitting down there in his office and he was he was sobbing, go talk to Justin. And then, Dick Vermeil, the coach of the Eagles and then the Rams, he cried all the time. Usually they're winning, some tears of joy. And that's about it. You don't have a whole lot else. At least I couldn't think of any of coaches that you'd look at and say, yeah, man, these guys are emotional that way. So it's something. And, so we know that he's, about bite kneecaps and, now he's about, so emotional that he'll cry. And, the thing is, this is that's Some people wear their emotions on the sleeve. You have to be who you are. Like, if you're out there and that was some kind of fake and he's trying to do something else, like that's who he is. So that's all right. Can he command a team? Can he get him to play for him? It looks like he can. So that's the biggest thing. I wanted to, you mentioned the 2-point conversion. You said you were with him on that. And I always think about two things with a team right down at the end, whether they should go for a 2-point conversion. One is, what's your kicking situation? Like, you feel like the other guys have got a great kicker and you just had a guy that was maybe like Mason Crosby that was, all over the place, or your kicker got hurt. I completely understand it. The other part is you got to be completely mismatched. Like, you got to think, you know what? We cannot play with this team. So we need to take our one shot now. And if you take a step back and you look at the Lions, that checks the the bill there. Like, yeah, they're not a very good team, even though they were playing hard and playing obviously right there with the Vikings. The Vikings are a way better team, so he took a shot. So I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, it's nothing wrong with him showing that emotion right now. But like you said, moving forward, you can't do that, because if you're still crying moving forward, that means you're still a really bad football team, and he's not steering the ship in the right direction. So, and also with Goff's a turnover machine. I seen he had a fumble he lost in that game. I'm going to retract my statements. Before the season started, I said Goff and Stafford were neck and neck, the same. Stafford's a better quarterback than Goff. I see why the Rams got rid of Goff. He's a turnover machine. He's not really that. He misses a lot of throws. It's not all his fault. This receiving core here isn't good. But Stafford's definitely better than Goff. He had a couple turnovers that game. Overall, he's 29th in QBR right now in the NFL with 36.9. He turns the ball over a lot, misses a lot of throws. And then now they got hit with the injury bug, and the schedule's only going to get tougher. So it's just, it's real ugly right now.
Yeah, I know a couple of years ago he actually did get him to the Super Bowl, so it sounds weird to say they're not getting to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. He's not the quarterback that he was 3 years ago. He's regressed. He does turn it over at an alarming rate. It leads the NFL, and he's also has the lowest yards per attempt. That's a terrible combination. Of course, he doesn't have a lot around him. You're right. What about Beth here on the feedback right off the bat? This, as long as they have the goose egg there in the win column, this is something that's going to keep coming up. 0-17 being a possibility. What do you think about Beth talking about the run at immortality?
No, I don't think they'll go 0-17. I mean, my prediction before the season started, I said 5-12, but this team's not winning 5 games. I think they'll beat Philly, and I think they'll beat Chicago on Thanksgiving. I think those will be their 2 wins. And I know they got Green Bay towards the end of the season. When they catch Green Bay the second time, is Green Bay resting their starters? Do they already have the division wrapped up at that point? That could potentially be a win, but 2-3 wins, that's all I see.
Yeah, I don't have much of a different opinion about that either, although I think they'll have a pretty good shot this Sunday. I mean, it's, even if you just look at the betting line, the Bengals are favored by 3.5, so we're talking about another field goal game. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't bet the house on it. Like, the Lions winning that game. Here's Finelli. Campbell will get numb to the pain of losing very fast. That is, Pete, what we call, here in Michigan, getting lionized. He doesn't have that look of being lionized yet. I mean, we've seen that look, and he's still fighting. So he doesn't have the I-75 eyes or, the lionized look yet.
Yeah, he's gonna have to become numb, because he keeps crying like that. He's gonna get tore up by the media and his fans.
Here's Paul talking about drafting a quarterback this year or the following year. So much needed with this team. Honestly, yeah, that's right. You don't have to make that decision. Like, if they had to make that decision today, I think that they would probably look at a defensive player, looking at all these different quarterbacks. But usually 1 or 2 guys emerge as saying they're the favorite, and it's the guy you want. Maybe it's the quarterback at Liberty. Maybe it's the one at Ole Miss. Maybe there's somebody else that'll be there. Usually when they go through everything and you get a good chance, you bring them in, you go to look at, talk, and all these different things that, look at this past year. And the way it went. So I think, look, if they're drafting 1 or 2 the way it is right now, if they're drafting 1, I mean, when you have your shot, you need a quarterback. I think you probably take a quarterback.
In this draft, I'd fill a roster out. I'd probably do another year of the Golf Files. try to fill more of the roster out. Because remember, you're gonna have 2 first-round picks next year as well. So those 2 first-rounders next year, maybe the quarterback pool is a little better. Sam Howell.
Well, it really depends how much you like the guy. It does depend how much you like the guy and how high up you are there. And the thing about Goff is that if you wait another year, you're going to pick up another one of those giant pieces of Goff's contract. I don't think so. I think next year it's a perfect kind of situation. You got one more year of a giant cap number for Goff. You could have the rookie, so you throw Goff out there. As we saw and as we're witnessing this year, putting the QBs out there sooner rather than later is mostly a mistake. Now, Patrick Mahomes didn't play in his rookie year. I mean, they played him the last game of the year when the Chiefs had already clinched the playoff spot. That's more of the path that you want to follow. And you know what? Justin Herbert, as good as he looks this year and as well as he played when he got in there last year, they're going with Tyrod Taylor until he had the needle in his lung or whatever that was. They were going to sit him and put him on ice. You don't want to put these guys out there too soon.
Yeah. I mean, me, I want to see them fill out the roster. I definitely want to see them draft a quarterback, just not in the first round because this team has so many holes. I would love to see them get a receiver and a playmaker on defense. And, who knows, maybe get a mid-round guy. The guy from Cincinnati, his stock's going up. Sam Howell might be in the second round. I'd rather see a later round guy or wait till the following year because you got 2 first rounders for the next 2 years. So.
All right. Well, you and I can argue about that for the next year, just like every other Lions observer or fan. All right. You ready to move on to chapter 2?
Let's go.
Let's do it. That gets us to the NFL. You want to intro it?
Yes, sir. Want to see who's all better than the Chiefs right now. I have my top 7 current teams in the NFL, Sideshow Raj. Top 7 NFL team list. Number 1, I have the Arizona Cardinals. Number 2, I have the LA Rams. Number 3, I have the Tampa Bucks. Number 4, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Number 5, I got the Chargers. Number 6, I got the Green Bay Packers. And number 7, I got the Chiefs. The Chiefs rank currently the 7th best team in the NFL right now.
All right. Well, you don't have my number 1 team in your top 7. So, we've got something else to argue about. This is the power rankings that we can see from the USA Today. They don't have my team in the top 5 either. There are the Cardinals. They're undefeated. You know why they have them there, although they should have lost to the Vikings. Vikings had a kick in the final seconds, a very makeable kick there. And, Arizona's look good. I like them. I'm, D-Hop's my favorite player in the NFL. Kyler Murray's my fantasy quarterback. Why wouldn't I like him? And there you go. The Rams have looked pretty good. They beat the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs are the Bucs. The Browns just lost to the Chargers, so I would put the Chargers in front of the Browns, and the Cowboys have been pretty good. But the team that I saw on Sunday night that went into Arrowhead and took a club to the Kansas City Chiefs and beat them into the ground was the Buffalo Bills, who since opening –
Bills on my list.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills, they look like the best team in the NFL to me. I would have them at number 1. They've got the quarterback. They've got the offense that's putting up 40 points a game, and that defense is pretty good. And you know what? Here they were last year in the AFC Championship game. They are hungry. So I really like the Bills one. I'm with you on the Cards and Rams and Bucks. I mean, that rounds 2, 3, 4 out. Who else did I put? I put the Chargers at 5. I put them in front of the Browns. I don't like, the Packers, but I got to be fair. I'll put them in there. They're going to be in the mix for sure. And then I've also got the Ravens in front of the Chiefs too. A Ravens team that actually beat the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago by a point when Lamar went, flipping over and did that cartwheel or whatever that was, side flip into the end zone and ended up getting hurt the week before he played the Lions. So, yeah, man, the Chiefs look like they're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early though. I trust Patrick Mahomes. I trust Andy Reid. They've gotten there before, so I'm not gonna throw the panic flag out there now. I think by the time the playoffs roll around, they will have it together. I don't think they're gonna win that division. I think the Chargers will, but don't sleep on the Chiefs. They could be a sneaky wild card.
Well, the one thing about saying Tampa should not be above the Chargers, I mean, the Chargers have lost the game, and so have Tampa, right? So, I mean, they're both one-loss teams, and Tampa's the defending champs, and they've looked really good all the way through. So, I mean, Tampa, somebody wants to, put Tampa number 2, I'm with you. The Chargers have looked good. There's no doubt about that. But
you can't put them over Tampa. Tampa's the defending champs.
Yeah, and they've looked good there too. So MAT, we both disagree with you on that one. Here's Reno saying that he's shocked that the Bills weren't listed. Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe they were I thought USA Today and Raj were both trying to pull a fast one on me, but man, they just look so good on Sunday. And that opening weekend against the Steelers, I don't know what happened there. I mean, it was a dogfight. It was a low-scoring game, and then the Steelers ended up beating them. But since then, Buffalo's taking teams out to the woodshed and just trashing them. Yeah, awesome defense, and Allen wasn't playing great right off the jump, but man, these last couple of weeks he seems like he's got it back. And I think there's 2 guys that have emerged for him. Diggs was awesome to be able to get a number 1 guy, but Emmanuel Sanders, he just keeps going, whether it's from San Francisco or New Orleans. Sometimes you say, why does this guy keep moving around? This guy's a good player. You know what? And you ever listen to Emmanuel Sanders in an interview or something, you'd say, this guy sounds like he's the greatest team guy. Oh, Bills, that's a sneaky good pick by him. And then their tight end, Dawson Knox, has been coming alive too, man. That Bills team right now, to me, is numero uno.
Yeah, I mean, going into that game, they had a bad taste in their mouth when they lost in the AFC Championship game. So they had a chip on their shoulder. They really wanted to go take it to the Chiefs. So I wouldn't get caught up too much in one win. They're definitely one of the top 5 best teams in the NFL right now. But we got, the AFC's wide open. The Chiefs have something to say about it. The Chargers have something to say about it. So we'll see.
What about Brent saying no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, Raj? Will Andy Reid retire at the end of the year? You know what, Andy Reid, I think that no. Andy Reid will stay as long as any team will have him, and I think the Chiefs still want Andy Reid, and Andy Reid he'll coach till he's 80 years old if they'll let him. I would bet that Andy Reid would stay.
Yeah, Andy Reid
with the Chiefs. Anywhere. Let's bring in our intern Pete Finelli, who is out in State College, Pennsylvania.
Hey guys.
He, he's an Eagles and Steelers guy, but he also keeps an eye on the rest of the NFL. This conversation here, Pete, what do you think? Kansas City, how much are you fading them, and who are the teams that you're putting in front here towards the top so far as we've seen now 5 weeks of evidence?
It's tough because I feel like people are forgetting that the Kansas City offense is still the same group that it has been. There's still a very high-powered offense with Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, Edwards-Helaire is out for a couple weeks, but it's still that offense that can put up 40-plus points a game. It's the defense that's killing them, and it's just flat-out terrible. I mean, you saw Daniel Sorensen over the weekend get burnt multiple times, and that whole unit is just struggling. But there's still a competitive team. I mean, yes, they're 2-3, but going throughout the rest of their schedule, there's only like 3-4 games that I'm looking at that I'm like, these are ones that they could lose. I still see them, having a positive record, not winning the division. I like the Chargers to win it. I said it in the beginning of the year. I like the Chiefs to take a wild card, and they're still going to be a competitive team. They'll figure it out. The defense is a similar unit to what it's been in the past couple of years. And
they don't have Chris Jones. I mean, he's one of the best defenders in the league out of that defensive line. And I do wonder, though, like you mentioned, Helaire being out, he's on ER. It seems like teams at some point, they study the Chiefs and everything else, and Mahomes great, but they seem like they figured out the cheetah. Like, you got the safeties and you put them you're not putting them 10 yards back. You're not putting them 20 yards back. You're putting them 30 yards back. You're saying the cheetah is not beating us. And, you would think Kelsey would be going crazy, and that hasn't been the case there. And the other wide receivers haven't stepped up either. And, maybe their offensive line.
Too.
What's that? Yeah, they lost Watkins. There it is. And these other guys, the you kept thinking they're going to, show up once every 3 or 4 games. Somebody picks them up on their fantasy team, and then they're dropping them. They're always out there. They don't have much depth at running back. Nobody there is impressive, and nobody after you get to Kelsey and Hill is really impressive here. So, yeah, I know I wouldn't want to play the Chiefs in a wild card, but you know what? The other thing is it's hard to continue to stay on top. Everybody looks at you. Everybody's evaluating you. Everybody puts the Chiefs out there and says, hey, this is the team that we have to stop, that we have to study, that we have to do everything to, to try to get by. And, they might have a down year, but,
Sure.
what's Patrick Mahomes? It's not like he's 30 years old or something. He's still got another 10, 15 years in him.
They'll still 20. Make the playoffs. They'll still be a competitive team.
Playoffs?
They'll be in the playoffs.
All right.
They'll be in the playoffs as a wild card, but they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah, let's relax on the Chiefs. I'm not ready to hit the panic button on the Chiefs.
No, not yet.
They'll be a dangerous wild card for sure.
The Bills are a very good team.
Who's number one then, Pete? Who's number one?
I have the Bills at number one.
We do the Bills. Okay.
They have a high-powered offense and a defense to back it up. So, you not much to complain about there.
Do you think the Lions are going to get
the Bills are the best team in the NFL?
What's that, Raj?
They've been looking like it.
I don't think the Bills are the best team in the NFL.
As of right now, yeah, they were pissed off. They lost week 1 to Pittsburgh, and they have just been showing it.
Well, you know what? We got something to argue about over the next couple of weeks. We'll keep an eye on those Bills and them circling the wagons. And Pete, we will see you again coming up in the 4th chapter when we talk about college football and that big game that took place in Iowa City.
Sounds good.
There he is, Pete Finelli. If you're on the chat, you see him in there. Speaking of that chat, we read your feedback as it comes in, like Reno saying they need to start getting Mecole Hardman more involved. Yeah, the Robinson, they got, my man out of rehab, Gordon, Josh Gordon, he committed a penalty, had a catch there. I don't know. If this was Josh Gordon from 8 years ago, I don't think he's the answer. I think when you bring in Josh Gordon, they're telling you that they don't have a lot of answers, after the cheetah.
Yeah, Josh Gordon, man, he's still getting chances, still getting them. I mean, hats off to him. I thought he would have been. I thought they'd have stuck a fork in him by now, but shout out to him for getting another contract.
Yeah, I thought he would have stuck a fork in himself by now. Let's move on to chapter 3, and we stay with football, but we get to college, and it takes us to both Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan State started the day off. It was a great day of college football, which we're going to get to over these next 2 chapters. Michigan State, they come out and they take on Rutgers, a team that played Michigan almost to a stalemate, and got them within a 1-possession game. Hell, it was a 3-point game at the end. What was it? 2013. I'm sorry, it was a 1-score game. 2013. There at the end, talking about when Rutgers played Michigan the first time, and then Michigan State did end up beating them by 18, 31-13 to move up to number 10 in the polls. Raj, how impressed are you with Mel Tucker's Spartans?
I'm very impressed with them. 6-0, tied for first in the Big Ten East. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought? I think, they play very well. They play very well. Peyton Thorne right now is 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the season, only 2 turnovers. He's 82.8 in QBR. I think Kenneth Walker right now, 129 attempts, 912 yards, 9 touchdowns. He's averaging 7 yards a pop. I think Kenneth Walker name needs to be in Heisman consideration. Absolutely, he's been phenomenal. And I definitely didn't see this coming. But don't overlook Indiana on Saturday. Definitely don't overlook Indiana. But I like the direction they're headed. I like the direction this team's headed.
Yeah, these numbers right here, can we blow that up and just make that? I don't know how to do that, Rob. If we can just see that Spartan logo. Oh, whoa, look at that. Look at just this game here, 339 yards from Thorne, 233 yards from Kenneth Walker III. And you're right. Not only is he in the discussion, it's halfway. He's the front runner for the Heisman. And then Jalen Naylor had over 200 yards and 3 scores in the first half. And so now you've had Jaden Reed, who was scoring on punt returns and taking the top off of defense. And now Naylor, the air yards was going crazy with Thorne, and Thorne looks crazy accurate throwing the bombs. I mean, this is teams, they can hurt you through the air, and obviously they can get you through the run. And Kenneth Walker's he's one of these guys. It was like against Northwestern the first play. He just hands off and he just slips around in and he's gone. It's like, well, okay, this is a great run, but nobody touched him or anything. He's such a great offensive line. But it was just like that against Rutgers, and I'm finding that the more I watch him, it's just the more he just makes it look easy. He just makes it look easy. It's like he's out there. He doesn't look like, I'm sure he's incredibly fast and incredibly strong, and he's got shifty moves and things, but he just makes it look real easy. He gets to the second level, and he's kind of like out here, and he's like, I'm just going to turn it back. Next thing you know, he's up the sideline, and then next thing you know, he's gone in a 90-plus yard run, and that's a great quality to have, making it look really easy when you know it's not.
Absolutely. They've been playing very well. Shout out to Mel Tucker for having them coach up. So do you think Thorne or Walker should both be in the Heisman race?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know about Thorne. Like, he didn't have that good a game against Nebraska. Like, it seemed like that second half. All the other games he's been good. And that's kind of the same thing like with Naylor and Reed. Like, if Reed would have had the 3 touchdowns in the first half, if he would have gone off like Naylor did, I think you would have been saying, hey, Reed and Walker, maybe both of these guys, maybe they'll steal votes. But the most consistent guy there is Walker, and he's putting up the eye-popping numbers. What it says is that this is an explosive offense. You want guys, you want to be able to run, you want to be able to throw, and you want guys that can, take it the distance. And this is what's happening here with all of them. So you're a State fan, man. You're ecstatic at the possibilities here. We're halfway through, but yeah, it is most. If you look, they're taking straw polls. Walker's the leader in the clubhouse right now. It's only halfway there, but the leader for the Heisman Trophy, and he's got a lot of big time games. So everything. This is what you want if you're a State fan, and it's happened fast. You want to be in position for a special year, and they're halfway home. So great job by MSU.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if they take care of business at Indiana Saturday and take care of Michigan, his name will definitely be right there top on the Heisman list.
You slow down about him taking care of Michigan there, Raj. Beth asking, do we think KW3, Reed, and Naylor will leave for the NFL? Also, how was Nebraska able to contain Kenneth Walker III? Well, I can handle that last one. Now, Nebraska's got a pretty good defense, pretty good front seven. And, they maybe it doesn't look as impressive now. Like they were able to contain Spencer Rattler in the Oklahoma offense. More on that coming up. But Nebraska's got a halfway decent defense. And they focused on him. And that's when I think, and that's only going to help him when you have you can't say, well, let's take the safeties and let's walk them up because we've got to worry about Kenneth Walker. You can say, well, let's shade one of those safeties and make sure you put it wherever Jaden Reed's at because this guy's explosive. Well, you put Reed over here, you put Naylor over here, and you got Walker there. That spreads everything out. It's one of those pick your poison kinds. It's exactly what you want if you're an offensive coordinator and the kind of things that gives you nightmares if you're a defensive coordinator. So, again, top marks for Michigan State. They are rolling, and they're getting different guys every week stepping up that look like stars. And again, it's everything that you want and more.
Yeah, Mel Tucker's really coaching these guys up right now. He's doing a phenomenal job. And,
sorry, Raj. Speaking of that Nebraska defense, they were on display in a night game in Lincoln on Saturday as they took on Michigan, and the Wolverines were up 13-0 at the half. Michigan, as you know by now, prevails 32-29. But how about 22 points by the Cornhuskers in the third quarter to get back into it, and then it goes back and forth, where it looks like we're going to get an overtime game until Michigan makes a play late and kicks their second field goal and ends up winning this one by 3 in Lincoln, and now they're number 9. Raj, how impressed are you by the Maize and Blue?
I was impressed with him that game. I wasn't that impressed with Cade McNamara. Just 22 of 38, 255 yards in the interception. He had a QBR of 66 in that game. they have one of the best offensive lines in the country. They could just absolute win at they can win at the line of scrimmage, and they can run the ball with Corum and Haskins. Haskins had what did he have that game? Oh, I didn't write down.
He had that hurdle. Yeah. He had that hurdle towards the end. That was the signature play for me.
Absolutely.
For that game.
Yeah, that hurdle. I jumped off the couch on that one. That got me off the couch. That was a nice leap right there. It was a real exciting game in prime time with the big lights on. It was a great game. It was a phenomenal game. The QB play, man, like I said, they went at the line of scrimmage. They can run the ball very well, but I'm going to need to see a little more from Cade McNamara moving forward.
Well, you might see the true freshman J.J. McCarthy, who, Jim Harbaugh is sprinkling in a little bit there, which is causing, at least if you're like, I know people that are following the team like, there's no quarterback controversy. Jim, there's at least a quarterback discussion. I mean, you're playing another quarterback during the game who's a 5-star QB. So, yeah. And in the second half of the Rutgers game, actually towards the end of the first half, after he got hit, and the second half of the Rutgers game, Cade McNamara played poorly. So, McCarthy's there. And I would just tell Michigan fans or college football fans how that's working. The leash is very short. And if you get into a situation where, you have a bad series, I don't think Harbaugh is going to pull Cade McNamara after one series. But if he goes out there and has a couple 3-and-outs and some poor ball placement or something, or throws a pick, do I think that Jim Harbaugh will go to J.J. McCarthy? Yes, I do. And I think he should. And that's why he's you want to say whatever you want. Getting his feet wet. He's proven that he's a better runner. He's proven that he's a better passer. Now, can he run the team and get him in and out of the huddle and know all the plays and get everybody set? I don't know about that. But like I said, he's close to being in there. I hope that he doesn't, overtake Cade McNamara, because I don't want to see Cade go through a couple series or a half where he struggles, especially, like against Michigan State on the road and State's up like something 13. I don't want to see anything like that. I hope Cade can hold him off and Michigan keeps winning. But it's there. It's something that, you don't want to go too far on it, but it is something obviously juicy to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Cade, he's the veteran. He's the safer guy. He's more of a game manager, though. I mean, JJ's clearly the better athlete. He's the young gunner, but I think he's going to play safe and stay with McNamara, but still use JJ, as that X factor.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And we have these two on a collision course on Devil's Night. You got State. You already mentioned it. You're not overlooking Indiana. I kind of am. Michigan has the bye. Then they play Northwestern. I'm kind of overlooking Northwestern. So it's not my job to stay focused on the Hoosiers and Wildcats. I'm focused on the Spartans and the Wolverines on Devil's Night.
Is Michael Penix playing for Indiana this game?
I think so.
He is? He's not hurt? Okay.
We'll have Pete Finelli check on the status. Did he play? Hey, Pete, did he play against he did play against you guys a couple weeks ago, right? Michael Penix, the southpaw? He's looking. He's looking. All right. That gets us to the fourth chapter as we turn the page.
All right.
And that's you, Raj, as we talk about the other games on Saturday and just how much fun college football was. What did you think of the other games on Saturday? What jumped out to you?
Yeah, it was definitely a very exciting week. I got to catch the Penn State-Iowa game. That was a very good game. 2 top 5 teams. Clifford got hurt for Penn State, and they pretty much didn't have a shot in that second half with the backup quarterback in. That was a very exciting game. Iowa, I think they're ranked like 3rd now, I believe, or something like that. That was a very exciting game. Obviously, the Texas-Oklahoma game, another very exciting game, high-scoring game as well. So, yeah, very, very exciting week of college football for sure.
Yeah, and, Michigan State's taking on Rutgers at noon, and that's when the Red River showdown is taking place. And so I'm looking over there and I say, wow, 28-7 after one. Texas is winning that game. It's crazy. Then, I'm looking on Twitter. They're like, Spencer Rattler's been benched in this game. Like, wow, that's another big development. And then it started going back and forth, and it looked like it was heading for overtime. I've never, maybe it was 2 years ago, maybe it was last year. I was watching this game, and I hadn't seen like the worst tackling and the least amount of effort from defenders as just watching the Longhorns. Like it was so disgusting until Saturday when it happened again. Like they would stand up straight and the guy would like run at him and they would try to tackle him like they could only use their fingers to try to tackle him. And then if the guy broke the tackle, they didn't even run past. It was the worst effort that I've ever seen from a defense. Like if I was a Texas fan, that burnt orange, I'd be burning my jerseys and just how bad Sark's defense and, how poorly and the effort. I mean, they were playing for a field goal and that guy, like, you hear people say this a lot. You're like, come on. I could have run for a touchdown against the Texas defense. It was so bad. That was the biggest embarrassment that I've ever seen. Embarrassing. And it's happened for a couple years in a row down there. Can I get how about getting a defensive coordinator that demands that you play hard and get 11 men to the ball carrier? It's ridiculous. And then, the biggest thing though, Roz, out of that game, and I know because we were all sitting around talking about Michigan's recruiting class and how they had a wide receiver coming in from Cali named Xavier Worthy. And it was like, man, this guy, he could be awesome for Michigan. They had Xavier Worthy, and they had another guy that transferred out to Washington, Giles Jackson. And it was like, hey man, these are two guys that Michigan could really use. Xavier Worthy, what he ended up with? 261 yards and 2 touchdowns as a true freshman.
Mm. Yeah, Michigan could definitely use that right now.
Yeah, remember the name. Let's see, here it is. Salams, bro, keep it up. Credit Express. Is that an inside joke? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Penix got hurt in the Penn State game. He is still day-to-day. So there's your update. And let's go to the Sean Clifford update desk. And that gets us to Pete Finelli. Pete, your coach didn't want to say anything after the game.
No.
They didn't say anything during the game, obviously. We just saw him standing over there with his shirt off. But Sean Clifford, the status of the quarterback there for your Nittany Lions. What do you hear?
There's really nothing. Franklin hasn't said anything. There's been no real updates, which is very frustrating to not know the status of him. I mean, Penn State has the bye week coming up, so there's a little bit more time. And then they face Illinois, who's not exactly a big threat.
Another bye week.
Pretty much. I mean, if they had to, they could probably ready the backup within the next 2 weeks and take them on. And then they have Ohio State. So again, don't know the status of Clifford. There has been really nothing put out from anybody.
I saw the play. He got sacked. I don't know, ribs, shoulder. I mean, is that what it looked like to you?
It looked like maybe shoulder. He looked like he might have been holding his back. Again, nothing. There's really been nothing confirmed from Franklin or from really anybody. Again, anybody.
Yeah, what a great day of college football coming up when it'll be Michigan and Michigan State, but then Ohio State and Penn State. And nothing against Taquan Roberson. That's a really tough spot. I mean, he went in there, first snap, goes through his hands. Mm-hmm. They've got, 8 false starts. I mean, I don't know what it was, communication with the offensive line. They're jumping all over the place. When he finally does put the ball right on his tight end, he's dropping it like 2 times. It was like that, especially the first one. It's like he's done all of this, false starts, everything else. He finally puts one out there, gets in some kind of rhythm where he puts it right on his tight end and it goes right to the guy's hand. It couldn't have gone any worse for that kid the first couple series, man. Go ahead and tell us how you saw it. I mean, it's easy to say that the game was over when Clifford got hurt, but that's exactly what happened.
I mean, yes, it was. You would think it was over. I mean, the defense held on for a long time. I mean, they were ahead up until midway through the fourth quarter. They held on for as long as they possibly could, and there was nothing more frustrating than watching Roberson play. I mean, just missing more guys wide open in clutch situations. On 4th and 3, he had after they'd gone down 4th and 3, he got two guys running a crossing route. They're both nobody's there, both easy first downs, and instead he dumps it off to the running back, and there's two guys right there to tackle him. And that was one example, but I understand he was in a terrible situation. Obviously, biggest game of the year. You don't expect to play at all, and you're away too. But after a little bit, I expected that kind of performance from him in the remainder of the first half. Sure, understandable. But you go out there, you take a couple hits, you make a couple throws, you go into the half, and then you come back out, and now you're ready for it. Like now you know what's coming. You've got to make some throws. I mean, he went 7 for 21, 34 yards, and 2 interceptions. Like, I get it. He's not starting for a reason, but you're going to be a D1 quarterback. You got to act like you've played football before.
Yeah, he wasn't helped out at all either. The offensive line jumping left and right. Maybe that was on him with the communication. I don't know. I didn't see what Franklin had to say about that, but I had never seen maybe they tried to go with a different snap count or some kind of dummy count because of the noise and anything else. But and it was loud there. There's no doubt. Sure. Kinnick Stadium, but it's not like that should have been a surprise. Everybody knows it's a tough place to, put a quarterback in to get his feet wet. And then, you see Kentucky doing what they're doing. Their quarterback, Will Levis, he was your guy's backup, last year. And he's pretty accomplished, as you can see right now. You put him in there, it's going to be a different story. Oh, well, you'll get going. You'll beat Illinois with Roberson, but you're not beating Ohio State with him.
Oh, no chance. And no way. The funny thing was
you're not beating Michigan either.
Oh, we're not beating anybody except maybe Illinois with this kid. And the frustrating thing too was I mentioned on Thursday I watched the game at my girlfriend's parents' house. It was her mom's birthday. Her father works with the team. He's the sports psychologist here at Penn State, so he's very familiar. And he kept saying, Roberson, he's a good athlete. He's a great player. It's just that he hasn't had any reps. He hasn't had the experience. And I couldn't really say much. But at the same time, it's like, yes, I get it. Sure, understandable to an extent. But when you're missing guys who are wide open, who are only 5-10 yards away from you, that's inexcusable. You're still a D1 quarterback. You're still here. You're still supposed to be able to perform if need be.
Yeah. Robertson didn't look good. He missed a lot of throws. It seems like he's an athlete playing quarterback. He's not really a polished quarterback. And like Dennis said earlier, their backup now plays for Kentucky. The transfer portal it changed a lot. It changed a lot. With these quarterbacks can move around now, so a team could go from having a good backup QB like J.J. McCarthy to having somebody like Roberson. But I think what Penn State does have in their favor, they have the bye week. Then you have Illinois, another bye week, so they have 2 weeks to get ready. Get Clifford back.
What they really need to do is figure out a run game because they couldn't fall back on that at all. The best average yards per carry minus Clifford for a running back was 3 yards a carry, and I mean the running game was terrible. They need something to support the pass, especially if they don't have Clifford in there to pass. If you don't have Clifford, you can't use Dotson, you can't use Washington. There's just nothing. They put up 3 points in a half. You can't win games like that.
Did you watch any other games on Saturday, or you're just the emotion taken out?
I finished watching that game and the Alabama Texas or the Alabama A&M one started, and I watched maybe the first 2 drives, I was like, I'm done with football for today. That was just so frustrating because if Clifford stays in, they were on a roll. They win that game. No question in my mind.
It's understandable, Pete. We'll see you in one chapter as we talk about Jon Gruden. There's Pete, there's, out in Happy Valley, but he's not very happy with the Nittany Lions after losing that game to Iowa. And they were going to win that game. Like, if Clifford doesn't get hurt, they're going to win that game. Well, I watched that one, and then, Michigan's on at 7:30, and that's when Texas A&M and Alabama are playing. So, usually I've got a second TV going, but I didn't have a second TV going on that one. I didn't want to be distracted with Michigan and Nebraska. So I am checking, and I do see the score there. And they show the highlight, and when Alabama had blocked a kick, blocked a punt, and got a touchdown, I thought, well, that's it. Here come the Tide. But then Texas A&M took a kickoff back, special teams, and that A&M, I went back on Sunday morning and watched a short clip version, about 25-minute, a short clip version of the game. That Aggie defense, that pass rush was incredible. And the plays that they made, and the backup quarterback, Zach Calzada, was he's a weird quarterback to watch. His footwork, like you would see, like, man, like you hear how people have happy feet. He looked like he was dancing and had these happy feet in the pocket, and yet he kept making play after play after play. And I thought the Aggies were going to lose that game 3 or 4 times. To see him win it, great day of college football. Really capped it there from the start all the way through. Both of the Michigan teams win it. Just a great day. Now, just like Pete said, Pete doesn't think it's a great day, Raj, because, his team ended up losing. If you're a Michigan State fan, I think you do go through that. You have all the great games, and it just adds to it. You'd put Arkansas and Ole Miss back and forth of the way that game went, 52-51. That was a great game too. So it's one of these things. Your teams are undefeated. You had a great day of college football, and you're like, man, life is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a great weekend. Cincinnati ranked 5th. Cincinnati stayed undefeated as well. It'd be interesting to see if they run the table. Can they potentially get in the playoff?
Yeah, you know what? And from what I've seen, I think they've got a strong case. You got to see how it all shakes out there, but they're up there pretty high right now. So if they do stay undefeated, I think that I think they got a pretty good shot of being there. All right, that gets us to yet anything else on the college football Saturday, Raj?
No, that's pretty much all I wanted to add in there. Great weekend. Looking forward to this weekend coming up.
Yeah, me too. That gets us to the 5th chapter, and it's not a fun chapter. It's something that happened and everybody's been talking about over the last 24 hours. Jon Gruden, the head coach of the Raiders, resigns last night. And this was a story that had played out. I think it broke on Friday, where you started seeing the report about Gruden and an email that was discovered and what he had to say about DeMaurice Smith, the NFL Players Union rep. And it was an isolated incident when it came down to that email. What we thought was Gruden at DeMaurice Smith. And then Gruden even addressed it in one of his news conferences, saying that he didn't have, anything racial in him at all. And Sunday night, they talked about it a lot when there was the weather delay. You had Mike Tirico, and he was in there. And then we got to last night, where then they've got more emails, and not only is you have a racial one, now you've got a homophobic slur, and then you've got him saying things about women's referees, an avalanche of these emails here, and now he's resigned. What did you think about the whole situation with Jon Gruden, Raj?
Yeah, the whole situation is crazy. I wonder, like, who leaked these emails? Like, where did this come from now all of a sudden? Like, who did he rub the wrong way? And I think this played a factor in them losing at home to the Bears. I think they're a better team than the Bears, and they lost that game. And I think Gruden might have lost the team. And I don't think the owner Davis didn't want any part of this. That's why he had him step down, because he knew this was going to be a stain. This was going to be a potential problem all season, so it's better to move on from it. And Gruden, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know if he went on a drunk tirade or just something, but I mean, you just can't do stuff like that. Going at the commissioner, all the people he went at, he was just doing way too much. He's doing way too much here. And I know they gave him the 10-year, $100 million contract. Is that guaranteed, or how does that work?
Well, there's always going to be some clauses in there, and that's what I think when he ended up resigning. I'm sure that they got the lawyers together pretty quick to say, hey, you know what? Here's 15, 20 million or whatever it was, if you resign. And, they came to some kind of agreement like that. On Friday, the part that you said, maybe there was some just kind of, isolated, drunken incident where he got in there and said something about DeMaurice, and it was 10 years ago. And then the whole vote was coming out, whether you're going to take D. Smith and have him stay on as a representative again. And then the email was leaked right then. So it seemed like, maybe it was somebody from Smith's camp who threw that out there so that he could get reelected, for another year. I mean, the timing right there, it's like, yeah, of course. I mean, if you don't think that, like we're not all born yesterday. Maybe, he had something with sitting on there, but then, hey, here's more emails. And, there comes a point here where, if you're the Raiders, if there was the one situation you thought it was an isolated situation, he might have lost his team and he might have had to go. But I think he could have at least, and I think they were going to try to see if he could hang on and move ahead, but not with the repeated emails and the repeated pattern, and not a one-time situation, and wasn't just 1 year. It seemed like it was over multiple years here, and it's a weird situation because it's been so long, and how they got released. This was an investigation into the Washington football team and their owner, seems like he's got a lot of different things that I don't think anybody would be surprised to see misogynistic emails coming out from him or anything there, but it ends up all being pointed at Gruden. So, yeah, somebody has an axe to grind with Gruden there. Pete, you're the youngster here. You surprised at how this went down over the last 72 hours with Jon Gruden resigning last night?
I mean, I'm not surprised that he resigned, of course, but I mean, the whole thing, just to witness it all unfold, and it was, it was a little bit at first. It was like the one thing, and then all of a sudden, it was all these emails and the deal with Washington, and it's really just it's just so disappointing to see. I mean, there's so many good, not like positive, nice stories you hear involving football, with the players or families, and it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a good thing, and then you get stuff going on like what happened with Gruden, and it's like it's terrible to see. There's no room in football or in anywhere for stuff like this. It's horrible.
Well, you get the leaked emails, and there's that side, and it was over 10 years, and then you have people saying, well, what about you've got Eminem and Jay-Z and Snoop? They're all going to be the Super Bowl acts. What about their reputations and what's going on there? Is this fair of what's going on here? People pulling in Deshaun Watson into the equation, and I'm able to separate that. I mean, Deshaun Watson, he's not playing right now. That's a whole situation that's going to handle itself. So it's not like, Deshaun Watson's getting over on the NFL or anything. He's not playing right now. And when it comes to the Super Bowl halftime entertainment, these guys are musical performers. I mean, they're not coaching teams. And you could say, well, they're representing. I see the clear distinction there. You guys feel like that's unfair to Jon Gruden or anything? Or should they cancel the Super Bowl halftime, or are you able to make that distinction? Go ahead, Raj.
Yeah, no, I don't think they should cancel it. I don't think that they should dig that deep. But I mean, what Gruden could say is, he wasn't employed by the NFL when this happened. I believe he was doing Monday Night Football, correct?
True.
So technically, he wasn't employed by the NFL. But if he stayed on the NFL team, this was going to be the main story. It's going to be a distraction. He wasn't going to have the locker room. So, yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts from you guys here? Here we are. I've gone an hour through the show, nonstop, fast moving, fast pace.
I mean, it's just a terrible thing to have done. There's no real other way to look at it besides it's just bad people doing bad things.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, Jon Gruden's been involved in a lot of our lives, and like as a coach, as an entertainer, as a broadcaster, people liked impersonating him, and then a week ago at this time we might be doing Jon Gruden impersonations, and now you're like, well, what are you dealing with here? And this is a black eye type situation, and there you go. I mean, that's it. You never quite know.
You think he gets hired by the NFL at any point as a broadcaster, another coach, any position?
No. I think he could land at some like a Vegas talk show or Barstool Sports. I think somebody like that could hire him. But I don't know. Does he want to stay? Here's a guy that I know he had to maybe give up 30, 40, maybe even up to 50 million here, but making 10 million a year as a broadcaster. And I don't know. I always say, like, how much money do you need? It seemed like he's got a couple 50, 100 million already. So I don't think you're going to hear much more of Jon Gruden. Pete, you say it's sad, and I agree about that part. When you say you hope people evolve and everything, maybe Jon Gruden could go out there and maybe he could make a positive out of all this, where he could put all of his cards on the table and explain to everybody, hey, this is what I was doing. Yeah, you know what? I was calling, the commissioner an F this and the women referee that. And you know what? I've learned a lot. And, I shouldn't say things about people, even if I was, mad. I didn't mean anything racial. I understand. He could do that, but I'm not sure. I mean, he could make it into a positive. I know people would say, that's just damage control of him trying to get back into the NFL. I don't think that's happening, but that could be something that he could do to shine some light on the situation, how he's evolved, how people can, if they are put into a situation like this, and, how he can try to at least, move forward where everybody doesn't think, he's some racist, homophobic, misogynist, all those things. Like, can it reverse that? He can at least try to bring some positives out of it. But I don't know. I don't know what Jon Gruden's going to do about that.
I did just see during while you guys were talking about Michigan State that the Buccaneers have removed him from the Ring of Honor. So
they got a statue in their practice facility. You taking that down?
Probably. I mean,
Ishmael says, "Who cares?" About 11 years ago.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, they're words.
They're just words.
I see what he's saying. I see what he's saying.
It kind of seems like a drunk rant, like a drunk tirade. Like
Yeah,
too much shots one day, or got in front of laptops and just let it loose. But people say behind closed doors, seemed like he just let loose. But I mean, it wasn't right what he did at all. But I mean, technically, what he does have on his side, he wasn't employed by the NFL. I think they got rid of him though because of the backlash that was going to come behind it. That was all.
Right, ruin the team.
If he would have stayed there, that's all they would have been talking about, and they wouldn't have been focused on football.
Well, he's got an openly gay player on his team. He's got plenty of black players on his team. He's got probably women, working in the front office. how he's coming to work, like, hey, what's going on, everybody? And everybody's like, looking at him like, hey, John, you think I'm some, jerk or what? Well, what's your story here? Right. We saw the emails, John. So
I guess the problem is it wasn't just a one-time thing. It was a recurring. There were multiple emails, and and also the thing is, if it's someone of his status, very well-known coach, analyst, if it's just some random nobody, that sort of thing is going to get blown over, like whatever. But it's because he is Jon Gruden that it's being taken so seriously. And it is words, but you still shouldn't say those things.
That does factor in. All right, Raj, great job. Pete, always a good job. Seeing Robert Banker said, how about Fox News for Jon Gruden? I don't know. We'll see. There's his prediction. Banker, great job. It's good seeing you, and good that you're 100%. And coming up on Thursday, it'll be a big NHL show. It'll be the opening night for the Red Wings. So, Raj, thanks. Appreciate it. Pete, we'll see you on Thursday. Banker, great job for everybody. We'll hopefully have Jelly back on Thursday as well. And for everybody, have a great night. Thanks for watching. And